Good morning. Okay, here we are with the freedom from suffering. A lot of us, of course, have entered this field of self-healing, spirituality, because they went through some or the other suffering in relationship, in finances, health-wise, legal problems, anything. Some suffering, and then you wanted to escape. You wanted to free yourself and thought of healing yourself or working with yourself. A lot of people, day in and out, they come to me because they wanted to fix quite a few people, circumstances, things, stars. They wanted to fix almost everything. And I've had phone calls saying upfront, can you change my brother-in-law? Can you change my daughter? Can you change my mother? Can you change my sister? Can you change my father? Because I'm suffering because of them. And this is how we begin our journey, because most of us, we think that we're suffering because of. And, we pay people to diagnose this and give us this diagnosis that you're suffering because of the black magic, or you're suffering because of the stars, you are suffering because of this dasha or that dasha, you're suffering because the house is not right for you, you are suffering because the city is not right for you. But nobody tells you that you are suffering because somewhere at soul level you have a need for suffering. So here I'm going to dissect the psycho-spiritual aspect of suffering. And after that, I will leave you to decide for yourself whether you really want to suffer, or you can opt out of suffering on your own. Trust it is totally possible to opt out of suffering, and there are ways to do that. The beginning can happen with this 5 days challenge, and you will see and feel the remarkable shift within yourself, in your attitude towards life, towards challenges, towards problems. And once you do that, you will certainly want to live a life free from suffering. Does that mean that the challenges will get over? Does that mean that people will change? Does that mean that the circumstances will change? No. Perhaps nothing would change, and yet you would stop suffering, because suffering is your response based on your perceptions, your beliefs, and your pre-programming. If you change your pre-programming, if you change your beliefs, and if you change your perceptions, suffering can be eliminated. That's the theory I'm going to work on, and I'm going to explain to you in a step-by-step way, and also show you a way out. So stay tuned. There are powerful techniques that I'm going to share at the end of this webinar, as well as show you a lovely presentation. Meanwhile, if there is any question, feel free to ask me right now before I switch on to my presentation. Anyone, any question so far? Good morning. Yeah, just a sec. Let me just share the presentation. It's right here. There we go. Trust everybody can see this presentation. Suffering is something we are very familiar with because we all have gone through the experience of suffering sometime or the other, right? We all have had our fair share of troubles in our relationships, in our personal life, professional life, financial life, health, and legal matters. And we've gone through a roller coaster ride ourselves. And we all know what suffering is all about. And perhaps many of you are here because there has been some suffering in someone's life or in your life. What if I tell you suffering is a choice? They say pain is inevitable. However, suffering is a choice. Choose freedom from suffering. And this is the choice you have to make. And probably you made it. And that's why you are here, isn't it? So let's first understand the reasons for suffering. The very first reason is guilt. Guilt, we think, oh, but I have done nothing wrong. Other than wrong, they are behaving odd. They are troubling me. They are torturing me. They are hurting me. It's not my problem at all. However, the guilt can be from the current life, can be from past life reprogramming, and can be ancestral in origin. Several times, the guilt can be due to not keeping commitment you have made at the soul level. Second is need for attention. There was a young, beautiful, obedient girl who would always be taken for granted. And nobody would pay attention to her. One day she fell sick. Father stayed back. Mother stopped all her extra household chores and paid attention to her. What did the young girl learn? I got attention because I felt sick. I suffered. So now suffering is equal to attention. So every time she was sick, she got extra attention. And suffering continued. And she never realized that she had terrible health all throughout her life. And she had a lot of troubles in several aspects of her life. And every time she suffered, she cried, she whined, and people were all around. And every time things were right, nobody had a need to pay attention to her. So her belief kept getting reinforced. So several times we do suffer because that helps us get more attention. The third reason is desire for personal growth. You suffer, you look for a way out, you start reading books, you start attending discourses, preaching, meet gurus, masters, take help from people, and that helps you grow eventually. Now you start associating suffering with the need for growth. So every time you seek growth, you invite suffering, and every time you suffer, you grow. Now, there's such a close association of suffering with growth that invariably you keep inviting some suffering every now and then, and you don't even realize, why do I suffer so much? Next is need to punish yourself. You've done something wrong, invite suffering so that you can now punish yourself, and it just feels right. So you might be suffering, but you may feel a lot at peace. I was just having a group discussion in one of our WhatsApp group. Says, every time I do a tattoo to myself, I'm at peace. I said, how can you be at peace when you're undergoing so much pain? But probably that could be one's way to experience peace through pain. Because now I'm kind of punishing myself. Now, not always everyone who does tattoo punish themselves, but some people love to go through certain pain and suffering and yet feel at peace. Next is pride of endurance and tolerance. Have you heard people talking, the way I have tolerated, nobody else would do it. The way I have managed with lean finances, nobody else would have managed it. The way I handled my mother-in-law, I'm sure nobody else would have managed my mother-in-law like this. The way I'm tolerating my husband, I don't think anybody else, any other woman, take it for granted, take it in writing, nobody else would handle my husband the way I'm handling. It's only me who can endure this. So at times we get so much proud of going through all the suffering that we continue inviting because it gives us a kind of an ego kick or a lot of opportunity to feel proud of ourselves for being able to handle it a lot. Next is victim mindset. Choosing to feel like a victim. How do you spot that? It's not me. I suffered because of the environment. I suffered because of heavy sun, heavy rains. I suffered because of the food that they served me. I suffered because the way people talk behind my back. I suffered because it was such an unhealthy environment, politically, emotionally, socially. I suffered because of the bad medication. I suffered because of doctors not doing their job right. This is the victim mindset. You may have different people doing different things, different circumstances, giving you different experiences. However, you continue suffering because you have a victim mindset. What is victim mindset? Knowing that others are out to trouble me. Circumstances are out to trouble me. People are out to trouble me. And when you have that kind of belief, when you have that kind of early childhood experiences, when you have that kind of parenting, when you have that kind of cultural upbringing, you often find yourself going through victimization. Fears. Several fears make you go through suffering. And the greatest fear is the fear of letting go of fears. Fear of stepping out of suffering zone. Sometimes you just don't have that kind of courage to say no to suffering. And you continue going through what you're going through. Cultural beliefs. If there are socio-economic, religious, cultural beliefs, we almost revere the state of suffering. We almost go through suffering because you're meant to go through suffering. Beliefs like suffering can bring you closer to God. Belief like suffering is a virtue. Beliefs like people who suffer become so strong and so hard. Beliefs like for success, you have to suffer. All these are beliefs and far from truth. This may or may not be needed. However, we hold on to these beliefs. We never even question them because they're so prevalent. Everyone around you believes the same. And you borrow these beliefs, you borrow the suffering, and you perpetuate it, and you pass on those beliefs, and they go down the generation. And next is familiarity. If you're familiar with the experience of suffering, that becomes your comfort zone. And you keep gravitating towards it. For subconscious mind, anything which is familiar is a pleasure, because subconscious mind finds it safe to handle that. So if you're going through certain suffering and your subconscious mind is very familiar to that, knows how to handle it, will continue inviting and perpetuating circumstances which will continue helping you suffer in your life. Do you really want to do that? You've got to figure that out. Okay. So these are some of the reasons behind suffering, but they are not the only one. You could have your own reasons for suffering, and start writing. Start putting the comments. Tell me, what are your reasons for suffering? Based on this or based on your experiences? Maybe we can learn a little more, right? What I didn't mention is suffering and karmas. Oh, how many people put it on to their karmas? So a lot of people think that I'm suffering because I have karmic debts. These are my karmas. Nothing can be done about it. And it's been told by a lot of wise ones also that it's all karmic, because nobody can help you if you karmically suffer. But what are karmas? Based on my experiences as a regression therapist, I would say the karmas are because of guilt, regret, incompletions, need for the experience, guilt of judging others, curses, oaths, and promises. Okay? Guilt we already discussed. Regret. I wish I had studied enough. I wish I had kept quiet. I wouldn't have suffered the breakup. I wish I had looked after my health. I wouldn't have suffered so much. I wish I had not uttered those words. So these are the regrets, and we continue suffering because of the regrets. Then there are incompletions. I wanted to go and travel, but I couldn't because I didn't have enough money. Now I keep going through my suffering. Guilt of judging others. This is the major one. You often judge others for what they're going through. So how can you go through, such a horrible job environment? You're stupid not to step out of it. And there you invite it in your own life. How can you allow your son to be so indisciplined? Now you have one in your family. You judge others and you'll end up inviting for yourself. You've judged your parents for so many things, and you'll be surprised how many of stories you've judged them for, you are already going through. So when you judge people, when you judge others, when you judge circumstances, you often want to see what is it to go through what others are going through. Curses. You often go through curses. Curses are not like those Ramayana and Mahabharata and epics time of curses, Curses could be as simple as, I will never make it. I'm a horrible person. I'm the stupid person. Or curses given by others, especially the teachers during childhood, that this child is not going to study. This child is not going to make a career. This child is not fit for sports. And sometimes you just buy it. I know a woman, and she's a good singer, but she would never sing because once upon a time, a teacher told her that you're not good at singing. Now, she bought it because teacher is an authority figure. Sometimes there are oaths and vows and promises that we make it to ourselves and to others at the soul level, and we suffer. Things like, I will never get married. If you say all those things in a very vulnerable moment, you prove it, right? You prove it to yourself. Or I will never gather money, or I will never, uh, I will never leave my parents. Things like this we say, and then you don't even realize how circumstances shape up accordingly. A girl who couldn't get married, and mother was seeking help, and we realized that it was an oath mother had given to father, her husband, late husband, before dying, that I will never leave our daughter alone. I will always be with her. And we know that in Indian circumstances, mothers don't go with the married daughter. So naturally, mother wouldn't really get her daughter married. Just a simple oath taken. I know a family where brothers are not married. Come what may, they wouldn't find a bride because both brothers had given a promise to their dying sister that don't worry about your son, we will look after him. And mentally, they had decided they will never get married and will dedicate life to this child. Sometimes we utter such words and then we get bound by these words, and they all together form the karmic background, a platform for us to learn and grow. Now you would feel so hopeless by end of it, that are you sure? I mean, do we have to really go through it? No. It has a brilliance. So last example, like brothers who said, I will always look after, also had unhealthy association of marriage with neglecting the commitments. If they mentally see their marriages as a possibility to look after the nephew in a better way, they will, of course, invite marriages. So we have to tweak the subconscious mind setting. I'm coming to it. We also have to correct the incorrect beliefs about suffering, the major story that people go through. What are the beliefs? I want you all to contribute that. You can unmute and speak as well. So what are the beliefs that adds to the suffering? One of them, though, I said suffering leads you towards spirituality and personal growth, right? I was also remembering a case where there was such a severe psoriasis and wouldn't really respond to any treatment. And we were trying to figure out what was happening. And then we realized that she really didn't want to get over that suffering because suffering brings her closer to God. And that was her belief. Suffering makes me stronger. Suffering is important before you achieve anything. There could be so many such suffering that you are going through just because of your beliefs and nothing else. Now, enough of reasons, right? What are the steps that we're going to take? The first thing first, stop blaming people. Because every time you blame people, you are not doing anything about it You're waiting for them to change their ways. You're waiting for them to correct themselves. You're waiting for things to become all right so that you become all right. Stop doing that. Look within. What can you do, even if people around you do not change? Stop blaming circumstances. If you keep blaming circumstances, you're not going to look within and change anything within you. Even if the circumstances are terrible, can you figure out a way not to suffer? Ask yourself this question. Stop blaming money and stop blaming resources. Stop blaming your stars and finally stop blaming yourself. So when you stop blaming others, you start blaming yourself. If you blame yourself, you will feel guilty. And if you feel guilty, you will suffer all the more. Do you want to do that? Stop doing that, please. Next, stop waiting for things to change. A lot of us keep suffering because one fine day, my health will improve. I'm waiting for the day my Sadi Sati gets over, my Shani Dasha gets over. I'm waiting for the day my mother-in-law dies so that I have my freedom. I'm waiting for the day my children grow up and get married so that I have my freedom. I'm waiting for the day I get my inheritance money so that I'll have financial ease. Stop waiting. Because you have the power to bring about the shift in the now. If you keep waiting, you're indirectly allowing the suffering to continue. Do you want to do that? Recognize and resolve your unhealthy beliefs. That is step 3. What are your unhealthy beliefs and what do you need to resolve and how to resolve? That's what I'm going to take you towards. And second last, but not the last, recognize and resolve unhealthy associations. Suffering is equal to extra attention. Suffering is equal to concession from doing your job correctly. Suffering is equal to growth. Suffering is equal to proximity to God. These are all unhealthy associations. Let's recognize them and resolve them. And step 5, reprogram and familiarize your subconscious mind with the easy and comfortable life. A lot of time people don't step out of the suffering because they don't even know how to have an easy life. They've seen their parents suffering. They've seen society people suffering. They've seen suffering in the movies. They've seen suffering in their neighborhood. They've seen suffering and experienced suffering in their own personal life. They've experienced mother suffering right from the womb. Now they need to have a benchmark to know what is it to live life without suffering. It may appear to be in movies, it may appear to be in some stories, it may appear to be remote, but one has to feel and experience life without suffering. You've got to convince your subconscious mind because subconscious mind thrives on familiarity. So suffering is very familiar. Living life without suffering is very unfamiliar and could be painful, can be intimidating, can be challenging. They've done experiments, no, that some slum dwellers were given a good amount of money to observe what they do. And most of them were very uncomfortable in cozy, quiet, silent rooms. They were uncomfortable with luxury food. They were uncomfortable with branded clothes. They eventually sold off everything and went back to the slums in no time because it was familiar to live the way they lived. So you need to always familiarize yourself with the life without suffering. You can do it through guided imagery, you can do it with affirmations, you can do it with reprogramming of the subconscious mind. Now, this is not the last, but the major concrete step which finally opens the door to a life without suffering. So, this is going to be the 5 major steps we're going to take and familiarize you with in upcoming 5 days, starting with tomorrow. And we're going to do it with Redikall. So, what is Redikall? Redikall is a set of techniques and set of principles which are beautifully transformative in nature. Redikall encourages you to go deeper into your subconscious mind, bring about the inner transformation, address the core issue at radical level, and bring about the inner transformation to bring about the outer shift. We help you expand your consciousness and convert all your belief system and help you rediscover the truth. Join us for the upcoming 5-day webinar series. Remember, suffering is the response to the inner and outer adversities. You can change your response. Interestingly, when you change the response, the situation is likely to change. I'm not saying that it will always change, but most of the time it's likely to change. So you can very well change your response. Remember, people, places, possibilities are not your problems. Your response to them is certainly a problem. And you have a right to change. You ought to change it. And you better change it because you have better things to do in your life rather than wasting your time in going through unpleasantness and suffering. Let's make the best out of the opportunity called life. Let's put an end to this suffering. Let's enjoy every moment of our life. Join the intensive group coaching event. Most of the time, when you attend seminars and webinars, they give you the concepts and they let you deal with it on your own. They may give you the techniques. They let you use them on your own. I've also attended workshops, webinars, and seminars. It feels like a bloated balloon. You feel larger than life after attending, very motivated, but soon you start shrinking. And we are so aware of this. Hence, we have a follow-up team, follow-up events, and supporting network. How does that work? So me, at the helm of it, I'm going to give you the concepts for the day. And I'm going to leave you to work that out one on your own as a community and with the support of the mentors. We have handpicked select mentors and team members who've battled their own suffering and come out of it and emerged as a very peaceful, sorted, quiet, happy people. And they're going to inspire you and support you as you go through your journey. We will have open house. What is open house? A Zoom room open to you. We will create breakout rooms so that you can help each other. We will also assist you in applying all that you learn with me as a mentor or as a program facilitator, and apply all these principles in your daily lives. We will create a space where you can step out of your suffering zone and embrace a beautiful life that is waiting for you. So together we can end the suffering. Together we can make a difference. I want you to share this event with many more people. Even after the event gets over, we can help them out in many different ways. So let's say no to suffering by just saying yes to a happy, healthy life. Life full of love, faith, integrity, peace, prosperity, and joy. It's not just a dream. It's not just a carrot. You can certainly get there. All you need is just a little effort and a little commitment to yourself. Are you ready for that? Okay, having said that, let's stop sharing the screen and meet the group. All right. So I'm seeing a few of the comments. Life is not a bed of roses. That's what the belief that we have grown with. Awesome. Would anybody like to have any question now? Anybody who has any question regarding anything about suffering, about the class, about the arrangements, how you're going to learn, what are you going to do? Any question? Have I explained very well? Uma, would you like to just brief them about what we're going to do?
You've really briefed very well, but I'll just once again conclude that. So we're going to do a 5-day program starting from tomorrow, and how Aatmn has explained very beautifully the 5 steps so that you can finally choose not to suffer and transcend this suffering. So, based on the topic that Aatmn will take at 8:15 to 9 on every day in the morning, and we will all then work with that topic. Like one of the topic is letting go of the past. So what is it that you can't let go? And so we are going to work with ourselves, but then we've realized that we need that group support, that community support. So then we'll, log into the Zooms. So there are 3 Zoom timings of open house. One is 6 to 7:30 in the morning, then 10:30 to 12 again in the morning, and then we have the evening, 7:30 to 9. And we'll work with each other. We have a group of amazingly senior radical mentors who have chosen an enriching, fulfilling life and have transcended this whole gamut that Aatmn was saying. So we will all help you, and that's how together we will, transcend this. Aatmn, I want to add just one more thing. I was just thinking that there's another thing why we do community work and how radical consciousness helps us is because finally the way you transcend suffering is when you vibrate at love frequency, is what I have realized personally. And when you vibe, and you need this consciousness, you need this group for the beginning to start aligning to this frequency. And I believe truly that when you vibrate at that love frequency, then nothing touches you. And we will all also, somewhere learn to connect to that frequency. So, yeah. And the fees for the program is actually very nominal. We've kept it $2,000 for 5 days. And Shazia, can you put the link so that people who are interested can then enroll? Yes, Aatmn, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Aparna.
Hi, ma'am. Lovely to meet you and all the other teachers as well. Um,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am. One quick question, basic question, I guess. So you mentioned about the reasons for inviting suffering, one of which being guilt, right? So what if people don't feel guilt at all and do the worst things? How does it work out for them? Because that way karma plays a role, right?
Yeah. So you think your teeth would feel guilty about tearing apart beautifully a beautifully decorated food?
Um,
Should they feel?
no,
No. Why?
because that's the purpose of the tea.
Yeah. So there are some people, see, life is like a drama, okay?
Mm,
It's completely like a drama. Hmm. It's orchestrated at the soul level, and our higher consciousness is the producer, actor, director, and we, the human level, are the actors. Okay. Some of us have chosen to play villains. Some of us have chosen to play comedians. Some of us have chosen to play kind of supporting actors and actresses and the back end people. And some of us have chosen to play spectators, right? So, we hate villains, but we know that they are beautiful people otherwise. Have you
okay.
also seen some people who are villain in just one person's life and not otherwise? It's a karmic contract. Once we understand, we don't suffer.
Okay.
We take this as a game.
Very clear, ma'am. Thank you so much for
Clear?
that.
Yeah. Okay.
Very much.
Yeah, Preeti.
Um, so, you mentioned that the classes will be from tomorrow. So, what will be the timings and how many days?
It's 5 day to begin with.
Ah,
So 8:15, I will be going live and talking and giving you the topic of the day and a demonstration. Okay. Followed by an open house, which, if I'm not mistaken, Uma can correct me early in the morning. It's Uma, what are going to be
Yeah,
the
it's 6 to 7:30, 10:30 to 12, and then 7:30 to 9 in the night.
and you don't have to attend all of them. You can attend any one of them and on
okay.
any days as and when you find a need. Okay.
Okay.
You can work on your own, fantastic. You can also have an add-on package. If you want a personal assistance, we can give you the personalized session through expert mentor. If you do not want to go through group stories, and if you need personal attention, if it's a severe case or time constraint or whatever reason, you have to talk to us personally. It would be little extra charge for that, right?
Yes,
Okay.
Aatman.
Yeah.
Okay. So, it would be, I'm still little, are you getting disturbed by the background noise?
I have the filter on, so
No, no.
No,
Okay.
there's no disturbance.
Okay. So, what I wanted to know is, so 5 days, because I have sessions in the morning which get over by 9:30. Um, Today was an off. So I wanted to know, I still not clear. I can attend the evening batch. That's what you're saying.
okay, so you'll miss out 8:30 morning conversation that you can just observe the recording later.
Okay, fine, great. Good.
Yeah,
So
you
it will be from 8 to 8:30, is it?
8:15 to 9 a.m. India time.
Okay, okay,
Okay, and you can go through the recording later.
okay, fine. Okay, great.
Yeah,
So I
okay.
would like to have the joining link.
Yeah,
Who
sure.
do I contact? Because I wouldn't know after the call how to
Yeah.
go about.
We'll
It
put
is
it in
on,
the Zoom chat. Atman will just put the link on Zoom chat so that people can enroll right now. I'll just put it.
certainly. And people who might be watching this later, and if the program has already started, feel free to approach. Just go to www.isolvelife.com and we can make this program be available even later, but in a different format, and it would have a different pricing and maybe more personalized way of approaching. Yeah, it is certainly possible. But do join us when the program is on because it's much at a discounted price now. Yeah. Okay, so Uma's already put the link of the website www.isollive.com, and if you any way can't just click for whatever reason, if you're going through YouTube, all you have to do is just click on isollive.com and go to the event section, or just chat with us and get the assistance. and we will help you out. Yeah, any other question? Okay, now I would like to give you a small little demonstration. But before that, if there are any inspiration story anybody would like to share, that would be good. That would inspire people to step out of their difficult times and embrace life full of ease and comfort. If anybody would like to share their personal experience. Yeah.
I had another question also.
Sorry?
If I am not able to do if I'm choosing to do individual, then what will be the
Yeah, just get in touch with us. We will give you that package
okay.
with the individual support. Yeah.
But so how do I get in touch? This link is just
Go to
mention.
isolvelife.com, Preeti, and there is a chat box. Just put, I would like to do this, freedom from suffering as an individual. Okay, yeah. Okay, anybody would like to just inspire others? Yes, Aparna.
Ma'am, it's been an immense journey, and I've completed the 3 levels in Radical, and it still continues to be one of the productive things that I'm doing for myself, honestly. And I see that it is starting to impact a lot of people around me, including my own son. So very recently, I was down with a very bad tummy pain and very erratic periods. And it was really erratic. I've never had that sort of an experience before. And I went to the doctor and I was put on pills, and then those pills didn't work because they were like powerful, the stopping pills. It didn't work. So I had to go on hormonal tablets, and I was really worried about going on hormonal tablets. And I remember I went to one of the open houses and I met Carol ma'am, and she said, I mean, she said that, it could be because you've been rejecting the feminine part of you, which is a message that keeps coming back to me. And I thought, my God, and what effect that has, because this message has come to me through so many different other, issues that I've been trying to deal with. And she gave some really amazing statements. And I remember for the next 3 days, whatever I did, I remember saying these statements, you know, out of my heart. I kept saying, sorry to my uterus, and for not acknowledging. Actually, I've always been rejecting of the menstruation cycle and all that. So I used to hate it, but actually I've had great experience through my childbirth and all that. So I kept thanking and I kept doing the R5 statements and associations, etc. And you won't believe, the next cycle I was really worried. I had to go on hormonal cycle, and I was so happy that it stopped and my body cooperated, and I still keep continuing those statements just as a gratitude. And through this, my son, he's 7 years old, ma'am, and I was down with stomach pain, and apparently, and he came back in the evening after school. He's like, "Mama, are you feeling better?" I said, "Yeah, slightly better." And he said, "You know what?" I said, "Our I was so touched because he's also observing and he's learning a lot. And I was so happy to hear that, ma'am. And this has been such a blessing in my life. It's an understatement, but it's been a blessing in my life.
I am so glad. Keep your journey on. Thank you so much. Yeah. One question which nobody has asked so far. Thank you, Aparna. Yeah, one question which nobody has asked so far. Is my suffering going to end in 5 days? You're going to learn tools, techniques, and methods to step out of your suffering. Now, a lot depends upon how you use it. There are people who can have this aha moment and happy ever after. There are some people who keep going back to their comfort zones and they love to be where they are, and it's again their choice. However, now you're aware that you're choosing to suffer and you're choosing to go through what you're going through. So the blaming and add-on suffering stops. When we blame others, we make others feel more powerful. And we feel that we are underpowered. We are small ones because we are at the receiving end of all the adversities. When we stop blaming, we change our position and things start changing around. So a lot of time, just repositioning yourself in life can bring about a major shift. And at times, some people take almost the entire lifetime, but they are very few. Most people find an immediate shift and instant shift in their peripheral issue, the deep and core issues we need to address. We have around, say, 80-20 ratio. 80% of the issues can be resolved because these are the issues we have created because of our adverse response to remaining 20% of the stories. Those 20% of the stories are like those pillars in the building or speed breakers on the roads. They're meant to be there for greater good, to create a structure called life. And they may not be fiddled with, but if you stop adversely responding to them, you stop suffering. So those issues are not your problem, but feeling that I'm being victimized, I'm being troubled, I'm being tortured, your beliefs, your responses based on that can become your suffering. If you wake up and stop responding in the previous ways and say no to all your old ways, yes, this 5 days would be sufficient. For some people, there might be just further need, further journey, further understanding needed, and they may need a little longer way. We have upcoming spiritual solution curriculum coming up. And this curriculum will help you take a journey in a step-by-step way so that you start responding to your life in a much different way. It's all about knowing what you already have, what you are, and responding in a constructive way. If you can change your response, you can stop suffering right then and there. Having said that, if anybody is available and would like to, I would like to take it up as a demo. I'm going to show a technique which I haven't really taught earlier, officially and formally. I know it's going on YouTube, so this may not be very comfortable right now for everyone. Yet, if you want to take a chance, I'm here to help. Okay, so it doesn't look like anybody wants to at the moment. It's fine. So,
Aatmn, Sheetal. Sheetal
Sheetal?
Lathani.
Okay, awesome. Sheetal, thank you so much for volunteering. Okay, let's take an issue you're suffering from. You don't have to describe. You don't have to make a story out of it because others' privacies are also concerned. But you know what it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, all I want to know is, what does this problem or challenge make you feel?
Helpless, irritated, frustrated.
Okay. So I'm going to use the principles that we have already described earlier. So all you need to do is to say, how much is the helplessness, baby?
7, ma'am.
7. Okay. So as we always do in Radical, we use different statements, to cope up with this, right? So just say, I forgive myself for making others feel helpless. Now, the first question will come, I've never made anybody feel helpless. That's fine. because you don't even know at what level of your existence you make people feel like helpless. All
I
right.
forgive myself for making others feel helpless. I
Yeah.
forgive myself for making others feel helpless. I forgive myself for making others feel helpless. I forgive myself for making feel others helpless. I forgive myself for making others feel helpless. I forgive myself for making others feel helpless. I forgive myself for making others feel helpless.
Yeah. What's
I'm not
happening?
getting that connect, ma'am, while I'm saying.
Okay. So I forgive myself for making my higher consciousness feel helpless.
I forgive myself for making feel my higher consciousness helpless. I forgive myself for making
My higher consciousness.
feel helpless. I forgive myself for making my higher consciousness feel helpless. I forgive myself for making my higher consciousness feel helpless. I forgive myself. Ma'am, there's so much of constriction here at the heart center.
It's safe to forgive myself.
It's safe to forgive myself. It's safe to forgive myself.
Higher consciousness feel helpless.
It's safe to forgive myself for making my high consciousness feel helpless. It's safe to forgive myself for making my high consciousness feel helpless. It's safe to forgive myself for making my high consciousness feel helpless. It's safe to forgive myself for making my high consciousness feel helpless. It's safe to forgive myself for making my high consciousness feel helpless. Feeling better that way?
Yeah. Just few more times.
It's safe to forgive myself for making my high consciousness feel helpless. It's safe to forgive myself for making my high consciousness feel helpless. It's safe to forgive myself for making my high consciousness feel helpless. It is safe to forgive myself for making my higher consciousness feel helpless. It is safe to forgive myself for making my high consciousness feel helpless. It is safe to forgive myself for making my higher consciousness feel helpless. My throat is choking, man. It is safe to forgive myself for making my high consciousness feel helpless. It is safe to forgive myself for making my high consciousness feel helpless. It is safe to forgive myself for making my high consciousness feel helpless. It is safe to forgive myself for making my high consciousness feel helpless. Very heavy, ma'am.
Very happy.
Yeah.
Okay. I purify my guilt towards my higher consciousness.
I purify my guilt towards my high consciousness. I purify my guilt towards my high consciousness. I purify my guilt towards my high consciousness. I purify my guilt towards my high consciousness. I purify my guilt towards my high consciousness. I purify my guilt towards my high consciousness. I purify my guilt towards my high consciousness. I purify my guilt towards my high consciousness. I purify my guilt towards my high consciousness. I purify my guilt towards the above. I guilt towards my
Having a burp, having a sigh, having a deep breath is a positive sign. How are you feeling in the chest now?
yeah, better. Chest is fine.
So I want you to continue today with this thing. I purify my guilt towards my, I purify, no, sorry. I forgive myself for making my higher self feel helpless. I purify, I forgive myself for making my higher self feel frustrated. Okay. And you said third word also, no? Some other word also.
Irritation, frustration.
Yeah. So you are, it's a based on the whole statements are designed based on reversal of experiences. So when we give others an experience, we invite the reversal of it. It's not always with higher consciousness. It could be in a past life pre-programmed story, or it could be ancestral. It could be with people around us. It could be the way you treat yourself, right? So we need to just go with the forgiveness statement to begin with, right? I purify, or rather, I forgive myself for doing whatever. So, for example, if somebody is making you feel insecure, I forgive myself for making others feel insecure. If somebody is making you feel sad, they're not making you feel sad. You need experience of sadness. So you're perceiving and responding with sadness. But your response to the sadness is based on your need to go through the sadness. This sounds like a heavy philosophy. You will understand slowly over a period of time. So all you need to do is, I forgive myself for making others feel sad.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So keep practicing that throughout the day. Whatever is the feeling, just say, I forgive myself for making others feel that way. Right. So, for example, if somebody is giving you an experience of unfairness, I forgive myself for making others feel unfair, or giving unfairness to others, or treating others with unfairness. And slowly, you will just ease the guilt part of it. That is like beginning with the root cause. And the root cause is often the guilt, right? Often, I'm not saying always, often the guilt. And work with it. That will just clear and create the space for us to work with our beliefs and all other stories related to suffering. All right. Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you for coming forward for demo, and keep working and meet the mentors to continue this today. Right? Don't give it up. You've just kind of begun. Right?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Any other question apart from that? All right. So there we go. See you tomorrow, 8:15, and 5 days begin from tomorrow. So let's set it up. Let's kind of march forward and intend to have a very easy and comfortable life. We deserve it, and we certainly need to claim that. Thank you. Thank you for being there.
Thank you, ma'am.